The night wrapped around the city like silk, neon lights flickering against the rain-soaked streets. Isabella walked with measured steps, her heels clicking softly on the cobblestones, each sound echoing the anticipation that had built in her chest all day. Tonight was not just any night. It was a night of desire, mystery, and the kind of electric chemistry that made hearts race uncontrollably. Dressed in a deep emerald gown that hugged her curves perfectly, she entered the grand hall, the air thick with the scent of perfume, candle wax, and subtle hints of cologne. Masks covered faces around her, each one hiding secrets, intentions, and desire. But her eyes, sharp and searching, immediately found him, Damien. Tall, dark, and impossibly confident, he stood at the edge of the dance floor, a black mask emphasizing the intensity of his gaze. When their eyes met, Isabella felt a shiver run down her spine. It wasn't just attraction, it was recognition, as if the universe had conspired to bring them together. He stepped forward, a slow, deliberate movement that exuded control, yet invited surrender. "May I have this dance?" he asked, his voice low and intoxicating, wrapping around her senses like the finest velvet. Isabella nodded, placing her hand in his. The moment contact was made, heat traveled up her arm, and a flush crept across her cheeks. The music swelled, a sensual rhythm that seemed to match the beat of her own heart. As they danced, bodies moving in perfect synchrony, the room faded into a blur. There was only him, her, and the unspoken electricity that crackled between them. Every turn brought them closer, every spin a teasing promise of the tension building. Isabella could feel his hands on her waist, firm yet gentle, guiding her with precision that made her knees weak. Their faces were inches apart, breaths mingling in the charged air. "You're mesmerizing," Damien whispered, lips close enough to brush against her ear. She swallowed hard, the sound of her heartbeat loud in her ears. "And you are intoxicating," she replied, voice barely audible over the music. The dance ended, but the energy didn't dissipate. Damien led her to a secluded balcony overlooking the city, the cool night air contrasting with the warmth that pooled between them. The lanterns below flickered like captured fireflies, reflecting in the canal water. He cupped her face gently, thumbs tracing her cheekbones, eyes burning with desire and something deeper, possessiveness tempered by respect. "Tonight is ours," he murmured, lips brushing hers in the most tentative, teasing kiss. Isabella's body responded instantly, a shiver of anticipation rippling down her spine. Her hands found his chest, feeling the taut muscles beneath his tailored suit. The kiss deepened, slow, languid, demanding yet tender, as if exploring a territory both forbidden and inevitable. Hours seemed to melt into minutes as they moved together, exploring each other's presence, each brush of skin a spark that ignited fire. Their whispers, laughter, and moans intertwined with the city's night, the world around them dissolving into a haze of desire. Every touch, every kiss, every caress was a symphony of passion, building toward an exquisite crescendo of intimacy. As the first light of dawn began to touch the rooftops, Isabella and Damien rested in each other's arms, a tangle of limbs and whispered promises. The night had been a journey of lust, connection, and revelation, an awakening of desires neither had dared to fully acknowledge before. Isabella traced the line of Damien's jaw with a finger, smiling softly. This is just the beginning, isn't it?" Damien's lips curved in a knowing smile. "The beginning of a story that will consume us entirely, and I promise, it will be unforgettable." The city stirred below them, but up here, in their private world, time had no meaning. Only the echo of shared breath, the warmth of skin against skin, and the electric anticipation of the nights yet to come. And as the sun rose, spilling gold across the balcony, one thing was certain. This was a story written in fire, passion, and desire, a story that would continue, chapter by chapter, in ways that neither Isabella nor Damien could ever forget. The morning light spilled softly over the Venetian canals, painting the city in warm golds and soft pinks. Isabella awoke with the lingering memory of last night, the taste of Damien's lips, The way his hands had mapped her body with such confident tenderness, the electricity that seemed to linger in the very air around them. Every detail replayed vividly in her mind, and a shiver of anticipation ran through her as she prepared for the day ahead. She dressed carefully, selecting a silk blouse that clung to her curves and a skirt that allowed both grace and freedom of movement. Today was not merely about appearance. It was about power, seduction, and the delicate dance of desire that had begun between her and Damien. By late morning, she found herself wandering along the quiet canals, sketchbook in hand, though her mind was far from drawing. The city around her moved lazily, gondolas drifting, bells tolling softly, merchants calling out to passing tourists, but none of it penetrated the cocoon of thought surrounding her. She was thinking of Damien. Every glance, every touch, every whispered word that had ignited something primal inside her. Moments later, a familiar shadow fell across the path. Damien appeared as if conjured from the city itself, dark coat brushing the edges of the water, eyes hidden behind his signature black mask. "Good morning," he said, voice low, carrying a teasing undertone that made Isabella's pulse quicken. "Morning," she replied, heat rising in her cheeks. "You're early." "The city doesn't wait," Damien murmured, stepping closer, "and neither do I." He extended his hand, and Isabella accepted, letting him guide her along the narrow streets lined with centuries-old buildings. Each step they took together was deliberate, synchronized, intimate. The subtle brush of shoulders, the accidental graze of fingers, it all spoke louder than words. They entered a small courtyard. Sunlight dappled through the leaves, creating an interplay of light and shadow on their faces. Damien turned to her, gaze intense. "You've haunted my thoughts since last night," he confessed. "Every glance, every touch. I can't forget it." Isabella's lips parted, a breathless smile forming. "I haven't stopped thinking about you either," she admitted softly. "Every time I close my eyes, it's you." Their connection deepened as they moved through hidden alleys, discovering small art galleries and quaint cafés that few tourists noticed. Damien's hand brushed hers occasionally, gentle, yet electrifying, each touch sending a thrill through Isabella that made her heart race. At a secluded bridge over a quiet canal, Damien stopped. The water below reflected the light of the setting sun, creating an aura of intimacy around them. He took both her hands in his, thumbs tracing subtle circles on her skin, and leaned in close. "Isabella," he whispered, voice husky with desire, "I want to know every part of you, body, mind, and soul." Her breath caught. "Then show me," she murmured, leaning into him, letting her hands explore the contours of his chest, feeling the taut muscles beneath his tailored coat. The kiss that followed was slow, deliberate, consuming. It spoke of hunger, tenderness, and the undeniable connection that had been building since the night they met. Every caress, every whispered word, every sigh and gasp heightened the tension, a symphony of passion that only they understood. Hours passed as the city faded into a blur around them. The alleyways, bridges, and hidden gardens became their private world, a playground for desire and exploration. Each touch was a conversation, each glance a promise, each movement an expression of the deepening intimacy and craving between them. As night descended, lanterns lit the streets and cast golden reflections in the water. Damien guided Isabella to a quiet balcony overlooking the canals. Their bodies pressed close, hearts beating in unison. This is only the beginning," Damien whispered, lips grazing her ear, "and I promise, every moment from now on will be unforgettable." Isabella traced the line of his jaw, smiling with both anticipation and surrender. "I want all of it," she admitted. "Every touch, every secret, every whispered desire." The city seemed to hush around them, the water below reflecting not just the lanterns, but the fire burning between them. And as they stood entwined, Isabella knew that their story, filled with lust, intimacy, and unspoken promise, was far from over. Each chapter would be more consuming than the last, a journey into passion that neither could resist. And as the night wrapped around them, the two of them held fast to the knowledge that their connection, electric and consuming, would shape every moment to come, chapter by chapter, until neither heart could deny the depth of their desire. The night had fallen softly over Venice, the canals reflecting the glow of lanterns and distant city lights. Isabella stood on the balcony of her apartment, the cool breeze brushing against her skin, carrying the scent of jasmine and distant water. Her thoughts were consumed by Damien, by the way his hands had touched her, the way his gaze had pierced through her very soul, and the fire that had been ignited between them in the days that had passed. A knock at the door drew her attention. Heart racing, she opened it to find Damien standing there, dark coat brushing his shoulders, mask in place, eyes glinting with the same intense desire that had captivated her before. "I couldn't wait any longer," he murmured, stepping inside, closing the door behind him. The apartment was filled with a warm, soft light, casting gentle shadows across the room. Damien's eyes roamed over her with a hunger that was both commanding and tender. "Tonight," he said, voice low and deliberate, "we explore everything we've been holding back." Isabella felt a thrill run through her. "I'm ready," she whispered, closing the distance between them. Their lips met in a kiss that was slow at first, testing boundaries, tasting the longing that had built over time. Every touch, every movement was heightened by the knowledge that they were alone and free to indulge in the desire that had grown with every encounter. They moved together through the apartment, hands tracing curves, lips brushing skin, the air thick with anticipation. Damien's touch was confident, experienced, yet careful, attentive to every reaction Isabella offered. She felt a rush of heat, a shiver that traveled from her toes to her scalp, a mixture of excitement, passion, and the intoxicating thrill of surrender. Time seemed to blur. Whispers and moans intertwined with the distant hum of the city outside. Every kiss, every caress, was an unspoken conversation, an expression of craving and trust. Isabella felt herself melting into Damien, her body responding instinctively, every nerve alight with sensation. At one point, they paused on the balcony, the cool night air contrasting the warmth of their skin, breaths mingling, eyes locked in a silent promise. "You're intoxicating," Damien whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "And you," Isabella replied, voice trembling slightly, "make me feel alive in ways I never imagined." Hours passed in a blend of passion and intimacy. Every moment was heightened by the city lights reflecting in the water below, the soft whisper of the wind, and the sense of being completely enveloped in each other. Trust and desire melded seamlessly, creating a connection that went beyond mere physical pleasure, a bond of minds, hearts, and bodies intertwined. As dawn approached, they lay entwined on the balcony, watching the first rays of sunlight shimmer across the canals. Their bodies were sated, yet their connection felt far from complete. Every touch, every glance, every breath shared between them was a promise of more, to explore, to indulge, and to surrender fully to the passion that had defined these days. Isabella traced her fingers along Damien's chest, a soft smile playing on her lips. This feels endless," she whispered. Damien smiled, pressing a kiss to her temple. "It is, and I promise it will only grow deeper, wilder, and more consuming with every chapter we live together." The city awoke below them, but for Isabella and Damien, the world had narrowed to the space they shared. Every heartbeat, every sigh, every touch was a testament to the fire that burned between them. And as they held each other, both knew that this was only the beginning of a story filled with desire, trust, and an intimacy that neither would ever forget. The night faded into morning, but the heat, the connection, and the unspoken promises lingered, marking the start of a journey that would continue, chapter by chapter, passion by passion, until neither could imagine a world without the other.